Good morning and welcome to our Google Hangout this morning. This is James Hardy, CEO of Evantage. I'm so honored to be on this call with all of you. Thank you for joining us. We get to meet with and hear from Mrs. DC Cordova, who is just an unbelievable individual. She was introduced to me by one of our senior marketing partners, Carol Dysart, literally a year ago. And I've had chances to get to know her over the last few months, and we've had some amazing conversations, and she's probably one of the most fascinating and I think person who's one of the most influential people I've ever met. I've heard about her for years. Actually, one of my good friends used to talk to me about DC Cordova 10 years ago, but I'd never met her. And we probably had, maybe 2 or 3 3-hour conversations, and that's rare for either of us because we're pretty short, people, unless something really intrigues us. And so you're a person that's been connecting the world. You're doing some great things. So I just wanted you to say hello to the group today, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is DC Cordova, and originally I'm from Chile and came to this country when I was 12 years old, and I'm literally an immigrant success story. Had a typical childhood and then had a wonderful profession in the legal field. I was going to grow up to be an attorney, and I ended up finding and being part of the group that were the pioneers of what is now called the financial literacy education industry. Believe it or not, that industry now is about 100 billion US a year worldwide. So I was there from the beginning, and I have had the opportunity to study with some of the most magnificent masters and people around the world. Excuse me. My work was originally created by a gentleman by the name of Marshall Thurber, and it was co-founded, the organization, with a woman by the name of Bobby D. Porter, who is a master now on teen education. And through a series of amazing circumstances and also using many of the business tools and the principles that we learn in our programs, I was able to expand our work through my leadership with amazing partners throughout the world, and now we have over 100,000 graduates that really, a lot of them are in the Chinese language, and I want to give you the good news. Chinese people are wonderful people, wonderful people who are coming online, and in a way, they learn just about everything from us, so all of our little bad habits get really expanded on them. And I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing entrepreneurs. In 1984, I sat down with people like Fidel Castro, and through the years, through my evolution, I really began to become more of a social entrepreneur. We always were, but really became that. Now those are buzzwords here. So I spend 1/3 of my time on my Accelerated Business School for Entrepreneurs, the Money and You program. Another third, I work on humanitarian, supporting masterminds with people that are really committed to the betterment of humanity. And now 1/3 I'm spending on renewable energies. About 10 years ago, we met one of the world's leading solar architects, and I am now working with him for the last few years in expanding his work globally. He was the man that passed the first green law in China, and his whole thing is about creating a whole new industry called renewables, which, believe it or not, hasn't really hit the world yet. So that's what I do. You can find out more about me at dccordova.com. But one of the things, and I'm so excited to be with you, James, is that what I'm looking for constantly are collaboration, alliances, and people that are like-minded, that have, ultimately one of my missions is to transform educational systems around the world and eradicate poverty and hunger. And so we have been very successful. The last time I counted, we have 12 solid countries under our belt that we have been influential in really supporting them in working on transforming their educational system. We're very proud to have been there at the beginning of Singapore, that right now worldwide they have the most progressive, the most innovative educational system, and Money and You graduates were responsible for that, at the start of that, and then it kind of took off. So what we do and what you do, what I do, we're like little bees You know, we go around from flower to flower to flower, and we carry with us in our little tiny teeny feet, we carry the principles, the information and tools and many systems that then we can pass along to others, and we pollinate. We keep pollinating the world with true information that can help the world to uplift its financial condition and to really allow for people to be able to have at least a roof over their heads, enough food, education, and then for those that want to thrive and grow more, then they can do that. But we have to do it with the whole world. We can't be left alone. That no longer exists. That disappeared about 30 years ago, but I think the public is just catching up with that. And when we have products and services that actually add value, at that point is when we begin to have a world that works for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time with the least, damage to anyone or anything, especially, the environment, and we can have a world that works for 100% of humanity. And that's where you and I are really connected, and Carol too. So that is what I'm about, and I think Carol probably wants to say something. Carol? Can you hear us? We can see your beautiful face.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this, DC. James and I are becoming internet entrepreneurs. Oops, there he goes. So I just want to say, you changed my life in 1980. I actually met you just before that, and you said, come to this seminar called Money and You, and I went, what do I want to do a seminar like that for? I'm a teacher. And then I realized I was a teacher. I knew nothing about money, and that it was the thing that I really, really, really needed to learn. So my whole life changed after that, and I went into the training of Money and You, which isn't a training, it's the most wonderful experiential event. I'm sure you'll talk more about that later. But I just want to encourage people. It's something you don't know that you don't know. Is finding out how you operate. And you might talk a little about that, Dee, about the technology that you can use in Money and You. So I just want to thank you. You go ahead. I'll stay in the background, but just know that you're with my new family, and you've always been my family.
Thank you, Carol.
All
well,
right.
I wanted to just comment. When Carol introduced me to DC and we had a conversation, and DC started talking about her vision of really making a difference in the world, and specifically an area that needs a lot of help is what she called renewable energy. And I told Carol at the time, I said, Carol, you're not going to believe some of the things I'm going to tell you I've not shared with Evantage, and I've not really shared them with Evantage, today to this time either. So what I shared with DC and Carol at that time was just that I have a great passion and a great desire to serve humanity with Evantage. And Evantage, there's a phrase that I learned from one of my mentors early on, and that is that distribution is key. If you build a distribution company, then you can basically market different products and services through that distribution. And so one of the things that we launched our distribution was around life insurance, which I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about, most people are not properly insured. Most people don't have the proper financial education. And I wanted to find a medium or a way to do that using technology and using centers of influence and referral marketing, and that's really how Evantage was born. But as we do that, we now have the ability to market other needed services, and that's why you see on our website, information about solar and renewable energy. So I really connected with DC about our vision, and I will tell you that once we build a massive distribution company this year, that we will then be introduced to key people that DC will introduce me to that really have great solutions, but they need distribution, and that not only in the money world but also in renewable energy. And at the end of the day, we want to make the world a better place. And so I'm really excited about DC seminars and what she's done. And I don't know if seminar is quite the right word. I think she's going to explain it a little differently than that. I came from the seminar industry, and I know the seminar industry. And typically in the seminar world, we sell products. We bring people to a meeting, we educate them, and then we sell them something that they can go and do. And I think her information is, and her presentations and meetings and get-togethers are very different. And I've had a chance to interview a lot of her students. And I got to tell you, I've never seen, you know, this is a compliment to you, DC, but I've never seen students or graduates of anything more passionate than they are about your program. And at first I thought it was just Carol, because that's the way Carol is, and I was wrong. It's not just Carol. It's everyone who goes to your seminar is passionate about what they walk away from. There's nothing for sale. It's purely a opportunity to come together and learn and think differently. And so I'm just excited about attending my first one. You allowed me to attend one for a few hours, and I didn't have a chance to stay that whole weekend, and I'm looking forward to coming to the next one, because some of my people that I consider are my great people that advise me have been through this, and many of our key leaders like Paul Schumann and Ralph and Serge and I don't want to leave any names out, Carol and Paul Michael Decker, and so many people have gone through it, have been empowered. But tell the viewers a little bit about what they're going to experience and why it's so different, and what you set out to accomplish with this great vision years ago.
Thank you. Actually, I was a student of the work, and one of the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. Okay. You saw me an echo on my side. It's okay. One of the things is that I was actually a student, and I was very successful by the time I was 24 years old in the legal industry. I was a court reporter. First, I was an interpreter. I was a court reporter. And because I was in the legal field for 8 years, I learned so much about business. There was so much to learn in that field, because I was involved in I was the court reporter, and I was taking down testimony of people that were suing each other, and in the process they had to explain systems, they had to explain distribution, they had, what was it that the best product that they had. So I literally, my subconscious was filled with business information. But I was a very unhappy young girl. And I went looking for my life purpose. I won't go into the spiritual side of it, not yet, but I really had like an epiphany or an enlightenment experience, and I literally went looking for my job, so to speak. And in 1977, I met Buckminster Fuller, before I met my mentors that created this work. And he was about teaching people about sufficiency and abundance, but that the whole world has a very strong belief on scarcity. And I really want everyone here that is watching this to really be honest with yourself about when you get in touch with those feelings of scarcity, that there's not enough of whatever, not enough money, not enough business, not enough profits, not enough love, not enough health, not enough whatever. Some of it is very real, but some of it is not. So, and then when I attended my first business school for entrepreneurs, Marshall Thurber, who's totally genius, he and Bobby was the power behind. She was the one that put the organization together, led the team. So I began to see this pattern of having genius and having sound business principles. And then, of course, I was just learning. I had only done my first training, experiential train, and not experiential, but transformational training 2 years before. So I was a baby in the woods. But I got thrown into this industry that it was just being created. So then we have Buckminster Fuller, who's teaching us about generalized principles that affect us on a daily basis. And this is really important for you to know. We are all emotional beings, and there was a money and you graduate in Singapore, Dr. Sundardas, who did this study, and he found that 95%, and I have heard this before, the decisions that we make are made in our unconscious and our subconscious. The unconscious we really don't have a lot of control over. The subconscious, there are certain processes that you can do that you can go ahead and become conscious of that thought, that decision, whatever it is. So what happened was that through the years, we began to work with these masters. Marshall and Bobby DePorter hired Georgi Lawsonoff, the creator of left and right brain teaching techniques, and learned directly, experientially from him by learning Italian, I believe, or I'm pretty sure it was Italian. So they learned all these principles. We applied that. Then we began to create this very experiential training. So we are like the original. We are like a friend of ours that taught Kiyosaki the cash flow quadrant, Keith Cunningham. He says we are the granddaddy of all seminars because of this. It was like we were the ones who began to speak about this. No one was doing this in 1978, 79. So I had an opportunity then. We were learning about, then all of a sudden Marshall discovers, Edwards Deming, the productivity genius, the guy that absolutely was like had transformed the Japanese auto industry, and all of a sudden an American had now created the best productivity company in the world. That was Japan at the time. They completely transformed their products into being very good as opposed to being very cheap. And then, of course, we started learning about Ilya Prigogine, the guy who won a Nobel Prize in 1979 for the theory of dissipated structures. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole conversation about that, but a more common word to that is a word called perturbation, the word perturbation. And basically what perturbation, this is the layman's, when physicists listen to this conversation, they go, that is so basic, but it's so accurate that, okay, but it's basic, okay? So in Money and You, what we do is like people come in with their old thinking, with their old, whatever it is that they believe, how they were trained in school, how they were trained by their parents. And then in Money and You, we go through a series of exercises. It took us about 3 years to get it perfect. From 1979 to 1982, we worked very, very hard. I was discovering my gift in logistics. Marshall will ask for a certain way to do something. I would go and work on it, show it to him. He would say, let's fix it a little. And then, okay, oh, that's perfect, Dee. Let's go on. For 3 years, we perfected this program, okay? And it was like all these games that you play, and then you have an opportunity to begin to go through a process of self-discovery. And then we start finding out that we don't know. That's what Carol was talking about. We don't know what we don't know. See, if you can't see it, if you cannot see the paradigm, and there was a study made, and I'm going to have this, I'm publishing some books and coming up very quickly. And I'm going to be, one of the bonuses in the book is going to be moneyandyou.com/book. In there's going to be some bonuses, and there's going to be an article of a study that was done long, long ago in Stanford or one of those big business schools. And they found out that unless a human being has believed or has the willingness to see business opportunities, investments opportunities, they will not see it. It is one of the most interesting scientific proof of our work. We already know that, but this is like, it kind of blew everybody's mind. And this is when, in Money and You, what you begin to do, now we're bringing in, you have your past, and now you're having all this self-discovery through these games. And then we start giving information, and then these two literally clash. And then you go through this process, which is called perturbation, when you're beginning to question what it is that you know, when you're beginning to question your assumptions, your training, your beliefs, your attitudes. You begin to go, wait a minute, has this really worked for me or not? And the way that you know it is by the results that you have in your life. And this is what I really want you to get, whoever's watching this. What will tell you what you believe and what your paradigms are the results that you have in your life. And a lot of times we get a little bit shocked. We don't want to talk about that. So do you have enough money? Do you have a system in place so that you create generational wealth for yourself? Do you understand what James and the whole team is teaching you? Do you really get it? Because there's a part of me that when I talk to somebody like you, James, I go, I totally get that. I kind of understand that, but I don't. So now with some of the people that you work very closely with, Paul Schumann, introduced me to people like Bobby and Sandy and, of course, Carol Hodges, his wife. They're taking me down a very powerful path of how do I want to set up physically through trust, through wills, through insurance. How do I create this legacy that is already in place in my work? So what happens is then you have this perturbating thought. You feel this perturbation. Your stomach hurts. You are not quite comfortable. All of a sudden you're like questioning things, and it's uncomfortable. And the challenge with humanity is that we love to be comfortable. It's like, and I'm going to do a whole series of books which is called Life is Inconvenient, Money is Inconvenient, Debt is inconvenient, Death is inconvenient, Health is inconvenient. And this whole thing that I find with people that don't have what they want financially is that they want to be comfortable and it's not convenient for them. Friggin' A, I have been so inconvenienced in creating the level of wealth and success that I have. And if you can just get this piece, this is where Money and You begins to make it really comfortable for people to understand that perturbation is part of life. Things are going to occur in your life that you're going to be sad. You're going to be freaking on the floor. When I have had a lot of loss in my life, we have a very sick friend right now, and we are working on a miracle, and we see him getting healthy. But the perturbation that the family is going through, and they're all Money and You graduates, and you can actually, the children, the mother, and the father, my friend who's ill, and you can actually see how they can tap into those generalized principles to begin to understand that life happens, and then you keep moving. So what I love about your work, James, where we're so much in alignment, is that you have some very solid tools, systems, and information that can support us in being able to use the combination of generalized principles and be able to use that in order to create generational wealth. So what we do in Money and You for 3.5 days, we take people through, the first thing we have to do is handle how comfortable they are. We learned this long ago. I'm going to tell you a secret right now. We feed you a lot of tea, coffee, water, and lots of yummy food. And we have frequent breaks because that's part of the mastery of left and right brain teaching techniques. They have learned that after an hour, the brain it cuts off, so we might as well give you a break. We don't do it exactly every break in Money and You, but we do it quite frequently. And the energy is very high, so that all of a sudden you're creating this new neurological pathways, but we have to make you feel really comfortable by feeding you. You have no idea how much food makes a difference in a seminar. And yes. So we give them breaks and all that. So then what we do is we start by creating a big picture. And this is really important for you in your own business, for you to give people the big picture of what you are about. So when people are walking in, they know that they're going to a very different program than one that they're just going to learn about investments or learn about how to flip houses or how to just make money out of whatever. People that come to our programs are very successful human beings that a lot of them have already hit a ceiling on what either they made a lot of money and they're not happy because now they find out. I mean, that is such a bummer. When you work your whole life to build a business or to have a career and then you find out that money was not it, believe me, we get a lot of those people. Then we have people that come in that have something so beautiful. They have a product or a service that really adds value to humanity, and they cannot make it work because they don't have the basics of the business success model, which, by the way, I will give a link to Carol to pass to your whole organization, where they can go to a 1-hour Google Hangout explaining the business success model. The business success model we teach experientially through the weekend. Masters, you are a master. Carol is a master. I am a master of certain areas, not of the whole life. Nobody is a master of life. No one. I haven't met even the gurus, the true gurus that I have met in India will admit to the fact that they have certain areas in their lives that are a challenge to them. That's a true master, not one that talks about how everything is handled. So what happens is that we teach about masters and mastery, creating a niche, which of course you have a niche. You in your organization, James, you have an amazing niche. Part of the niche, it might look like a lot of other people do what you do. What they don't understand that when you combine a niche with mastery, with someone like yourself, that is where the secret sauce is. So that's why you really don't have competition, because you can't really compete with someone that has that level of mastery on how to apply whatever the niche is. Let's say that in our field, your field, my field. Then you have to leverage that niche. And one of my partners was Robert Kiyosaki of the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. He taught Money and You, the business school, and many other programs, our training programs, with us. We hung out together for 17 years. I was there when he met his beautiful wife, Kim. I love their partnership. They're a beautiful couple, very aligned in their financial and their human, endeavors. They are very, very clear. I know this for a fact because I was there with them for a long time. Then he came to do the program, and he will share with you, and this is not a secret, he was not in good shape. It was with us that he hit zero and then began to build his wealth, and it was out of the work that we did together that he was able to finance many of the things that then propelled him to a whole other level, and found Sharon Lecter, who was a master in distribution and publishing, that took him to a whole other stratosphere, the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So now you have leverage. He loved leverage. Tony Robbins, whom we trained when he was 23 years old, he loved leverage. Tony is a whole other story, Tony Robbins. We taught him about logistics, and Marshall was teaching him about, this whole other side of business. I was too young. I was still learning myself, but I taught him a whole bunch about rooms and music and logistics and what I was an expert at that time, a very young girl in my early 30s. So then we have people like Harv Eker, who came over, and he studied with us for 7 years. He did all of our program. He sat right behind in that couch that you see right there. I've been here, by the way, for 30 years. Not the same couch, but he sat there and went through all my books and workbooks for a week. He came every day and just went through everything. He wanted to see all the things that I had learned, because my home is like a library. And so you have people like that learn about leverage. They learn from masters. They create their own niche, because they all have their own niche. Then they leverage that through systems. And then those systems then need to be done and put in place by an aligned team. And this is really important for you to understand. This is where we hit the wall. 2 areas. Marketing, which is like freaking rocket science as far as I'm concerned. So funny, I used to say that all the time, and then I started meeting rocket scientists. Then I started talking about it's like brain surgery, and then I started meeting brain surgeons. You have to be careful what you say. But one of the things that you need to understand, that you need to cover 3 major areas: sales and marketing, people and organization, money and finances, and the 4th one, of course, you have to be a master of what you do. So you have to have systems in place to do marketing, which is the toughest, and people. Here's where the trick is, folks. As human beings, bless our souls, we have thoughts, feelings, opinions, experiences, and we have something that we call in Money and You call a yuck berry. A yuck berry is a negative thought that you created, or a decision that you made long ago that gets in your way. And so what begins to happen as you play all these games, we have music, we sing songs after a couple of days just because we're kind of celebrating. We have wonderful food, and the graduates have a lifetime membership, so they come back. We have dozens, depending on the day and what time, we have dozens of graduates that come back. We have a network table where they can put their brochures. Every graduate on the planet can do that anywhere in the world. And now we have this energy going in the room where people are beginning to go through perturbation. They begin to see that it is totally safe and okay and part of the process to have perturbation. Then we put them into a game. There's a certain game in Money and You that begins to really get people to get in touch with some of these yuck berries and the decisions that they have made. And then the next day, we debrief that game in the most masterful way. My instructors, my latest instructor took 5 years to get in front of my room. And
wow.
The reason is because he was so young and he did our programs. He used to make $200 a week, $800 a month in New Zealand, or $1,000. He did Money and You business school, and then he became so clear about it, he began to do a business that was bringing him in $80,000 a month in export-import. He discovered that he didn't realize that speaking fluent French would be a tremendous asset to him, began to get into the timber industry, went and found all of this timber in this beautiful, exotic place near New Zealand, and used his French to speak to the French there, and then all these clients around the world, and began to make that kind of money. And then he wanted to be a Money and You instructor, and then he had to go through the process of putting the whole business success model, learning from master, becoming a master himself. Niche, what is his niche? How does he leverage? What are the systems in place for his people? Because that's the next one, align team. And then you go into the metaphysical, into the invisible, which is synergy. How do you really create synergy with your team? How do you and I and Carol and the whole team and all the wonderful people that you were speaking about, how do we create synergy in order to make this world better, create profitable businesses? Because this is where I get very Republican, and I want you to know I'm very neutral. I am called a fiscal conservative and a social democrat. Okay? When they talked about Bloomberg being that, I went, oh, I have to vote for that guy because he fits me. So I truly believe that entrepreneurs and business people are going to save this planet, but I also feel that we have to take care of the elderly, the children, and people that don't have the education that we should have given to them in traditional schools. So this is what we do, and I know that I answered that a little bit long, but that's what Money and You does. It's like we take you all the way through a process. It's a path for 3.5 days. It's a beautiful painting, like the painting that you have behind you. It's not complete until it's complete. And by Sunday night, people now have a whole new set of references, which, by the way, Tony Robbins learned that in our program. The word, that word, and the word distinctions, and another word that he loves to use, I can't remember right now. They have a whole new set of references on how to be, and then they go into their life, into their work, and then because it all has been done through experiential games, it has been seeded in their subconscious, in their unconscious. It begins to stir up certain things, and now people have new way of looking at things, and they begin to see opportunities. They begin to predict the future, which, by the way, James, I want to have you and interview you later after you do Money and You for my network, because I want them to see how a man like you, because your team probably already knows this, how does a man like you constantly see new opportunities? And it is the neurological pathways that you were so blessed to have learned from masters, and then you put it into work, and then you became a master. And that, once a human being has that, then you become safer, you become happier, you become more peaceful, you become more resourceful. And that's where I'll finish this little talk here with my new definition of wealth. My new definition of wealth is to have access to networks, to cash, to people, to investments, to knowledge, to experts, to support, and to have access. Once a human being has access, they can then succeed. The problem with people that we call resource poor people, not poor people, there are no poor people in the world. They are resource poor people that don't have access to resources. They don't have access to be able to get that first little bit of money to get started unless they're so freaking ambitious and have the kind of personality that the three of us have on this call. But most human beings don't, and that's what we need to teach the world, and that's what I'm about. So, James, take it away.
So thank you. So a couple of things you said just really resonated with me. First of all, you're right. I was blessed early on to get good mentors, and some of the people you've mentioned mentors in my life. And you know, so one of the persons that you mentioned, of course, Tony Robbins, and I don't know if you know this, but my dad had all of his real estate agents go through Tony Robbins' program, and so I read his books and I went through his 21-day program while I was in high school. So I was sort of bred to think big and different and everything. But one of the people you also mentioned was, of course, Marshall. And you may not know this, but the most money I ever paid to go to a seminar, you know, was this seminar that I went to, which was a seminar in Salt Lake. It was put on by Doug Andrew. But his trainer was Marshall. Marshall was his mentor. Marshall was the one that trained him, and he went on to write a book that changed a lot of people's, you know, financial opportunities. So I went to this seminar. I paid, you know, $6,000 for a few-day seminar, which was a lot of money at the time. And even though I was making good money, I just had a hard time parting with that. But I went there because I thought I needed to get some financial tricks, some financial tools, some financial things to take my business to the next level. And you know what? I didn't learn anything about financial. But what I learned about was process and relationships and systems. My income doubled for sure, and I went on to learn how to make $100,000 a day. But more than what I learned about that was how to put it together and have more quality of life and just so many things I can't tell you. And so as you were talking, I was like, you know, I relate to what you're saying and what you're doing because I kind of went through that with a few different experiences. But most people, as they think about or contemplate going to a seminar, they go, wow, you know, can I afford this? Is it gonna, you know, is it gonna give me the benefit? And a lot of them will go, hey, money and you, I go there to learn about money. But what they're gonna learn about is, as you said, so much bigger, so much more that's gonna connect them for so many other aspects. So I'm looking forward to going, and I'm looking forward to bringing, you know, openness to our team, and then having them have those experiences and just have more mentors and more relationships. Now, one of the things you mentioned, and I'd love you to just share with it as we close up today's meeting, is if someone comes to one of your seminars, what I understand is they can go to any of those ongoing for other seminars, which I've never heard anyone ever doing before. That's unbelievable. And you have these all over the world, so I want to go travel the world and
Yes.
get mentored by world thinkers. So give us a little just detail as we close up. What are you getting? What does it cost? How do we take advantage of it? And when's the next day?
Thank you so much. Basically, we have a lifetime guarantee. We have a network table that we're very famous for, and all the graduates and the people that attend can bring their brochures, or not big displays, small things, cards and things, and they can stand it up if they want, and that's a hint for those of you that will come. And one of what we do is we have these all over the world. And people, we have an area in the back where the graduates come back, and people cannot be in the room if they haven't attended the whole program. So in the back, they get to review, because we see the world depending on where we are. So people will come back and look in the room and go, I don't remember that flip chart. And I said, oh, that flip chart has been there 35 years. They go, I don't remember seeing that flip chart. I go, yes, it was there. And so it depends on what you need to see. So we found long ago that it's really important for people to come back and be able to review and put that into place. And the honest truth is that we I have built businesses. My partners have built businesses. So even though my wealth comes from royalties and from having created this whole system around the world, I find that the more generous that we are, the more that our work works. So we don't need to charge people $100 or $800 or $1,000 for them to come back. So you can go at moneyandyou.com. And by the way, while you're there, make sure you download the 4-session business makeover. And make sure you let us know that you learn about us, through James and Evantage and Carol. And I'm sure that we'll find out sooner or later anyway, but please let us know. So one of the things that we do with the 4-session business makeover on Money and You, there is 4 hours of free education there. So we love to give free education. Then you look below and you will see different dates. Right now we're still filling up the Chinese dates. But if you see there, like for instance, we're going to have a program in India next weekend. Then we have, San Diego. Then we have Kuala Lumpur in the weekend of April 23rd. And then the following weekend, we have New Zealand. If you do Money and You with us, you can go on the road. Just go on the road. Just go, great, I am going to go open up my market. I want to go open it up in Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur has half the room is from Singapore, the wealthiest little country on the planet. And our graduates, the program there is 6,500 of their money, ringgit. Out here in Money and You, the listed price is 2,500. People are paying $1,895. But for your network, we have a greater discount, and I believe we gave you $200 or $300 discount because we want as many of you people to come. And honestly, you will see when you get there that this is an expensive program to put on. I mean, big music equipment, all that. Remember, Tony learned from us. So one of the things that we do in the programs is to also we provide the DISC profile. Carol has been providing that for us for 1,000 years, it feels like. And so we really we give that to the participants. We also have workbooks, and then we have other materials. So now people have a toolbox that they also can walk away with. And what we do is we give people an opportunity to expand their global network. Now, I didn't even speak about the Chinese program. The Chinese do sometimes 4 or 5 Money and Use a month. Their cities are Taiwan, Taipei, Hong Kong, you name the big cities, definitely Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou. They do Money and Use in cities I can pronounce, Xi'an and all that. Then they do Chinese programs in Indonesia, in Jakarta, and in Bali at times. They do it in Singapore. We have the most graduates of Money and You in Singapore. There's over 40,000 Chinese Money and You graduates there. And then, of course, also English Money and Use, because we were there for quite a few years too, and we still are. They go to Malaysia. So when you are doing business in Singapore, you begin to notice that some of the most successful people there are Money and You graduates. And if you go to my Facebook, go to DC Cordova, and definitely go to Dame DC Cordova and like it. I love social media. But if you see in my regular posting, which I let people come in and see everything, because once you ask somebody to be your friend, you can follow them, and then you can go ahead and I let people post. Look for Jani Chen, C-H-I-A-N. It used to be Jani Tay. So she changed her name to her single name. Jani Tay always posts little notes and likes to put little things on my timeline. Jani is one of the most successful business women, humanitarian, in the whole Asia-Pacific region. She's the one that opened up that whole world, and this is what networking will do for you. I went to Singapore the first time in '89. We did a Money and You program, the first one in 1992. Half the class were some of the richest people in Singapore. They were all Jenny Tay's friends. It was that group that went on to put on Super Camp, because that's our sister organization, a woman that is no longer with us, bless her soul. She died of cancer at 45 years old. Her husband was one of Singapore's richest people. She did Money and You, and she said to her husband, I want you to invite the Minister of Education to come and have dinner with us. It was her conversation that started this whole process of transforming the educational system in Singapore that you see today. That was in 1992. So now these people then introduce us any place that we want to go. You just name it. I mean, we have graduates all around, especially you want to go to Thailand, you want to go to Cambodia, Brunei, there's graduates everywhere. So all of a sudden, your market reach, and this is really important, and I have a whole conversation on global entrepreneurship, how to develop it. One of my ebooks is going to be on that, but I'll give you a hint right now. If you want to expand your global network, begin to look on Facebook for groups that are in the country, in the industry that you want to open up. But the thing about Money and You is that it is a trusted network. So people know that you did 3.5 days of this program that actually is going to teach you not only how to make money, have profitable businesses, but also to add value to humanity and to do good. So when you go to my Facebook, you will see on the top, both sites, you will see the Buckminster Fuller question mark about how do we make the world work for 100% of humanity. I'm asking all of you to please download that and then just pass it everywhere, post it everywhere. Because when you ask that question, people are attracted to you, but you have to be genuine. You have to be real. So in Money and You, what we do is we connect you. The minute that you do the program, you become completely connected to a whole worldwide network. And then, you know, there are people that have challenges with finances. We never have trouble collecting when people do time payments. So I told Carol that for your group, they can have, they need to put a down payment of $695, and then they can go to register for Money and You. They put MY 695. Then they connect with us, and then we give them like 2 or 3 payments. I don't want money to keep you from doing this program. For those of you that can easily afford this, just see, the more that you put down into the universe, this is my experience of how it works with the very wealthy, successful people that experience enough. Don't be cheap with yourself. Don't. And there's nothing more important than your consciousness and your thinking. So when I was caught in the financial crisis, which is never going to happen again in Asia, believe me, what you see in the news here about China, I was just on the phone with a bunch of Chinese about 3 days ago. And when the economy begins to change, the first thing the government does says, May 1T. That means don't worry. We're never going to let this country go down. We have more cash than anybody else. You just keep doing business, keep doing your thing. It's like we're going through a change. We're going through perturbation. Almost, they say that. Just keep working, and we're going to make it. Literally, that gets headline in newspapers and in blogs everywhere. The government steps in and go, don't lose your confidence. Now, what happens is that what occurs, you know, and when you begin to have a mindset like that, and when you begin to hang out with people like that, and this is where, for you, how much are you worth? And so when I had my learning experience in Asia, what I did was the first person I called was Tony Robbins and his boss, Sam Georges. Sam Georges used to be Tony Robbins' boss. I think he still is. I said, I need to go and walk on fire because I'm thinking that I'm losing everything. My mentor is telling me that I don't. I have all my intellectual property. I have my home. I have my Rolexes. I have my cars. I have everything. But I'm thinking that something is going wrong. Scarcity just hit. I said, I have to go and get rid of this scarcity thinking. So I started going to Tony's program that I had helped design, Wealth Mastery. They called me in to help. I gave them one of my games. It gets played in that. Sitting in the front row, listening to Tony and just going, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. Because I needed to step out of that. And then I came back And I said, what is the number one thing I need to know to get out of this freaking hole that I put myself into? Sell. You need to sell. Then I went into a whole other discipline, and then I went to work on myself. So this is what Money and You will do. It will jumpstart your brain, okay? It will jumpstart your spirit. Some of you, and this is really important, I really want you to get this. You can never afford to let your spirit go broken. Never say, I am B-R-O-K-E. I never say that. If you have a broken leg, that's one thing. You have a broken arm, you can say it. But no one is B-R-O-K-E. No one. Because you have a spirit, and with that beautiful brain of yours, and with the information that programs, we're the longest lasting, nobody has lasted longer than we have in regards to business entrepreneurial education. Because the generalized principles that we teach with the games kickstart people into remembering who they are, into remembering that life is about making mistakes. This is where we really get it. Mistakes are part of the process. That was one of Buckminster Fuller's greatest teachings. So come along. Don't let money get out of the way. And if you pay in full, you're saying to the universe, here I am. I have this. I'm investing in myself. So when you said that you pay $6,000 for a program, I have paid a lot more than that, and I'm sure you have too. You were just talking about that one. Because there has been times when I only have one investment in my life, and that's myself, and that's this little thing between the ears. Because I could be having the worst tragedy and lying there, like this man that we once had, Roy Abel, who couldn't but move his head. He was the one that taught me when he attended Money and You, that as long as you have this brain, and he was a millionaire, and I believe he was in your industry. I remember he was in your industry and also in real estate. As long as he could move his head, he could think and create wealth. And
Wow.
so that is when you're down and out. And I'm talking to someone right now who says, I can't go to Money and You because I can't afford to go there, and I can't put myself in more debt. The challenge is that you can't afford not to kickstart yourself and to move out of yourself, out of that mindset. And that's what we do. And the best thing, we're money back guarantee. If by Sunday night you decide that this was not the program for you, you come see me in San Diego. This is going to be on February 25th through the 28th. It starts on the Thursday evening, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Monday, hang out with us. You'll come into this beautiful living room and hang out with a bunch of people. We throw little parties after Money and You parties. We all hang out here after 2 p.m. because people need to sleep in, because they have created so many new neurological pathways. But if by Sunday night you feel that you didn't get enough, what you wanted, what you needed, what you thought the program was going to be about, you get your money back. Caveat. You need to give me back the workbook, the DISC, and you cannot have any relationship with anyone that you met in the program unless, of course, you knew them before, but you don't have access to the network. And for many, many people, the number one value is the access to the network. And so I don't get, really, it's so rare that people ask for their money back, but we do have that because we want to make sure that people feel secure and safe. Awesome. We have the opportunity to change lives, but let me just, before we go, I want to tell you something. Kiyosaki said something that sometimes I didn't agree with, but as the years have gone by, we haven't been in the same stratosphere for many years. I believe that what he said was true, which is the best way to handle poverty on the planet is for you not being one of them. And what I mean by that is not just financially poor, but I'm also talking poverty of the spirit. And unfortunately, the way that our educational system works, the way that certain religious sects work, the way that certain things occur in life, give people a very grounded beingness in scarcity. And you have to snap out of that in order for you to create the level of wealth the level of health, the level of joy, and we can't do that without also having a part of us that is of service. There is no question about it. I have been with the richest people on the planet. I have met the likes of Fidel Castro and the Prime Minister of Malaysia and the President of Iceland, the #1 banker, managing director of Citibank for renewables. My partner is a billionaire with heart. All of them, hands down, all of them, and many, many more. Jenny Chan, is service. There is a part of us that in order to feel fulfilled, because it won't matter how much money you make, when that hungry dog doesn't feel fulfilled inside of you, life never works at the level that you want it to work. And this is why we get so many billionaires in the Asia Pacific region. We have more billionaires that are Money and You graduates that will become your friends if you want. So if you want to go to Shanghai, you just look it up. I want to go to Shanghai Money and You. You go there, knock on the door, show your certificate, or have them have connected with me for me to confirm your Money and You graduate. Say English. Somebody will go get someone that speaks English. Will say, hi, I'm a Money and You graduate from San Diego. I'm here and my business is printing. Do you have anyone here? Oh, let me go look. And they say, oh, his cousin is in the printing business. Great. Can I please have lunch? Can you call your cousin? And oh, yes. And next thing you find yourself in one of the biggest printing companies in Shanghai that you now have somebody that can teach you the business there or you can do business with or whatever. That's how our network works. And that's probably the biggest value aside from clearing many yuckberries. So I invite people to go to moneyandyou.com, download the 4-session business makeover. If you want to register, you can use the code. And Carol, what is the price that we gave your group? Was it $16.95? Carol,
yeah, I'm here. $16.95, and they do MY1695 to register. Is that right?
Yes, MY $16.95. So that's $100 cheaper. And if you want two of you, if you want to bring a business partner, and two of you register at the same time, then we will take it down to $14.95 each. So then at that point, you will use the code 2995, MY2995. And that's when two of you register, because you want to bring your spouse, you want to bring your partner, your business partner. You may want to bring your young son or daughter. The youngest that we take is 14 years old, but they have to be mature enough that want to hang out with a bunch of adults. But what the young people love is all the music, the games. And we have had, as a matter of fact, my couple, my friend who's in the hospital, the son Trevor Hamschild did Money and You when he was 14 years old. No, I think we allowed him at 13. He's so brilliant. And now he's 16 years old, and he will be part of the team. You will meet him, you'll meet the family, and you will see and you can hear from him what happened to him when he did the program. His whole life has shifted, and now he's working on being a star, a singing star. In literally, he's on his way to New York to Broadway. He's building his path because he's clear and he has the tools. So, James, is there anything you would like to say?
No, I think this has been an awesome experience. I think everyone's been blessed to hear from you, and I just agree with you. I agree that who you are 5 years from now is a result of the mentors that you have now, the books you read, and for me, the best things I've learned have been in presentations or meetings or experiences like this. And so I'm a big believer in coming together, and your format is phenomenal. I will, of course, be there. A lot of our key executives from eVantage will be there. If people have questions, they can reach out to Carol, but really just go to the website and do this. And it will make a difference in your life, and it's a blessing to know you. So thank you so much for the time, and I know we'll have many more sessions like this.
Aloha, everyone. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.